Hi and welcome Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. It's warm in the headquarters today. Summer's hit in Australia where we are. And it's certainly warm. We've got the door open. You're probably going to hear some creatures outside. There's a couple of golden retrievers floating around because the door's open. We can't keep them out this time. So bear with us. But yeah, that's what happens at the end of the season when it warms up in the headquarters. We just enjoyed the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the third edition. How many have we had?
Second edition.
Is that all?
Second? Yeah. It's not many.
I can't believe we can't work it out.
I know.
Is it?
It's not our favourite.
Oh, I didn't mind it.
I didn't mind it. It's not our favourite.
Yeah, so, yeah, we've just had a... Geez, we're going well with the facts here.
You've lost your run sheet. You've lost your run sheet tonight.
Well, it's going to... Yeah, we're starting this way, aren't we?
We're going to stumble through this week's episode.
Yep. I haven't got my computer. I forgot we're doing it. I was doing my readers with my kids, and then I heard a car pull up, and my daughter was like, "Oh, Tristan's here." I was like, "Oh yeah,
it's
I'm
Tuesday.
Recording podcast." So anyway,
we'll be right. We'll get through.
We will. We're going to have all the goodies, and then probably some more as well.
Yeah.
One thing that is we're going to start off with is an opening question, and I'm going to do something that I don't often do.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, we had an opening question.
Did we?
What's the last thing you won?
Oh, we talked about this. You said we weren't.
We're going to revisit it.
You told me Tuesday.
Bad.
You told me Tuesday that we weren't going to do this.
I feel bad. We're going to revisit it because you gave a where?
Just on the ground there. It's all happening. It's all happening tonight. I tell you every week. First 5 minutes is going to set the tone for the episode.
It was a sad answer you gave me a couple of weeks ago.
I did because I don't win anything.
Yes, that was the answer. I've never won anything.
No, loser.
Tell me, we've just been. So for those of you who aren't following along, we're both school teachers. With our schools, we do this really wonderful program. It's called the Energy Breakthrough Program, and what it means is that there are specially designed trikes, 3-wheel bikes, recumbent bikes that have aerodynamic chassis or fairings around them. Yep. And they go super fast. And we go and race all over the state. Our big event is called the Energy Breakthrough in Maryborough, Victoria. Check it out. It is really cool.
Yep.
And anyway, we took our schools there.
Yep.
And we had our big race. It's like our big grand final.
It is.
It's like our end of season, I guess, the finale. I don't know. There's
like our Abu Dhabi, I guess, but heaps more interesting.
Yeah, but cooler than that. Yeah.
Engaging.
I guess it's like the Indy 500.
Oh, it's different, yeah. Yep.
Formula One doesn't really have a grand final, do they?
Not really.
Like Monaco, but it's not a great race.
It's not a grand final. Yeah, it's boring.
And it's mid-season, yeah. So anyway,
end of good comparison.
End of year, yeah, it's the big one.
Yep.
And so yeah, anyway, off we went. So Tristan, tell us what's the last thing you've won?
Last thing I won was the tech category. Tech category for that, and you know I love my tech.
So
I do love my tech.
As part of this event, the kids present to judges about the program. They present to judges about the trike and everything that goes with it, and then they go and race.
Bit of innovation.
Yep.
And love innovation. Yeah. Love making things.
So you're now a winner.
And
I'm a bit worried that now you've won something finally at the age of 40.
I know.
You might actually get on a run.
I might get on a run, actually. Good, because our lovely friend Shane always says to you, like, don't give me too much, because...
That's right.
I'll suddenly become quite a good competitor.
That's right. So
that's the first. Shane will be listening to this and he'll be like, "No, shouldn't have said that."
Yeah,
that's the first notch in the belt. Tip.
I'm confident that we're going to hold on for a little while longer.
You're a little bit faster than me.
We enjoyed the race win, which is the part that matters the most. But your overall score beat us.
It did, yes, bet overall.
Yep.
In
I guess on the podium,
constructors championship.
I guess so.
For a better word, yeah.
And so you managed to take home third on the podium in that area, which is fantastic. And I'm super proud of you. Because it's been a...
I felt like you were more excited for me than yourself on Friday.
Oh no, I was bloody rough of a race week because this race has escaped us. Even though we've been probably the fastest team for the last couple of years, it's escaped us last couple of years. And so it's nice to get the win under the belt. Back into it, so it was.
Anyway, good
great
times. I hope Shane's listening because
check it out, Energy Breakthrough in Maryborough, Victoria. You'll be able to see it. There's some fabulous video clips on YouTube. I tell you what, their editing team have put together some stellar videos.
Brilliant.
The social media action was good.
I actually get quite upset when I feel like I'm not featured a lot. Because I really want to be featured a lot.
Our trike's the nicest trikes on track.
like combined.
No, like
yes.
up there. Like
up there.
I think. Is there anyone that looks nicer than ours?
I think I look the best out there.
What's your wife think?
Not being biased. No, she doesn't think that.
No, who says she thinks is the nicest?
She thinks yours is the
Yes.
nicest. She thinks yours. But your kids think mine are nicer.
I don't know about that. They like them.
I think Sophie thought.
I'll give you a little insight. Our kids are told to go around and tell everyone that their trucks look awesome.
Oh, are they?
So I'm sorry to burst your bubble there.
Okay.
Because, yeah, we're on a bit of a mission. But honestly, they do like them because I actually showed them in class when you show me the picture. And they're like, they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did really like
bit
them.
Of chrome.
And they actually didn't think our trucks looked as good as last year. So
you know, I kind of thought I did like your last year ones a little bit too.
They were special, yeah.
They were special. I missed the sort of gradient that you had going.
Yeah, well, because we're running high tops, low tops. This is turning an HPV podcast.
I was going to say, we do. Like
this is called HPV racing
we
for
do
those.
a side gig.
We should. But anyway, let's move into.
Let's get into it. I hope Shane's listening.
Abu Dhabi is not the race we're talking about.
No, we're not.
Las Vegas.
What
do you think?
It was pretty good. Race ranking. Don't know. Like, I could give it 8, but I could also give it like 6.
Ooh.
But I think I'll give it 7.
I'll go 7.5.
Okay.
I really bloody liked a lot of the racing that went on across this event.
It's so quick, isn't it?
Yep.
Like, I think because we've only had a couple. Yeah.
Those first few laps, there was some great racing going on, and the track allowed for it because it wasn't turn after turn after turn.
No.
So you could hang it in there. There's actually for a track that seems like it should have lots of 90-degree corners. There's actually quite a few really fast corners.
That last corner is hectic,
isn't it? Cool?
There was such a fantastic social media post from the F1 boys. Just absolute silence of nothing but the cars flying out of the final turn. I've never seen that angle before.
It's cool.
One of the best things I've ever seen in my life was at Albert Park, which is coming down on... I'm just thinking about where it is. Not the second to last corner.
Oh, yeah.
But coming out of the old chicane and going through it. And I was fortunate enough one year very, very early on to change seats. And I sat there for the first time. Because I used to have a spot where I just always enjoyed my spot. And I thought, no, branch out and go and get another grandstand seat. And watching it from the rear view, watching them come out of the chicane down sort of like Lakeside Drive, I think it's called.
Into, I think it's the Vettel corner, or it might be the Vettel grandstand at the end now. Yep.
Anyway, so watching it from that point of view was terrific. And then the similar thing here, just watching them from the rear end was fantastic. So yeah, just don't have a lot of knowledge around Vegas, do we? Because it's like second time out, so it'll grow on us.
The cold weather played a huge part in where it was all at.
I've said it for years. And it's great. Mercedes-Benz in the cold, brilliant. Mercedes-Benz in the heat, no good.
It was, and we've talked about this for years. It used to be one of my main things let's go to places where it doesn't suit Formula 1 cars because it's going to make it's going to make it a lot more interesting.
Absolutely.
And this is nearly the perfect scenario because you're not necessarily going to get rained out. Well, you're not going to get rained out in Nevada this time of year, but it's going to be bloody cold.
Yep.
And that's what it was, and it meant that tyres weren't waking up properly and cars couldn't switch them on. And so they had to go exploring the high-speed nature of the course also. Cause some havoc.
Absolutely.
McLaren would do anything to go and get that rear wing back, wouldn't they?
Oh.
Which I think at the time you were really critical of.
Absolutely.
Why are you going and giving up a rear wing when you know you're going to need it?
And I'll tell you what, it's come back to bite them.
It's come back to bite them hard.
Because they were never demanded, and this is the thing, and we talk about this with like what Red Bull do, that real, that savage...
Yep.
Winning mentality, that on a knife edge mentality, that like, you know what, I'm just going to push it until I'm told not to push it. And they were politely tapped on the shoulder, and then they were being really nice about it. And you can't be nice in this game.
The understanding, I think, was that, look, if we have to investigate, we might have to take points off you. So if you give them up now, we won't go back and do that. However, Red Bull have, and probably Ferrari also, in the past, they've held their ground.
And we have never had points deducted.
Yeah, this is Vegas. You want to be taking the gamble. And
absolutely.
they've taken that gamble and said, look, no, we're going to stick with it.
I know. And they were
make us take them away.
They were so steadfast at the start of the year where they said, no, this is legal. We've had it checked off.
Yep.
So they were so steadfast on that in the first place. This sort of nice guy mentality, it's come back to bite them because I reckon they could have absolutely done with that high speed.
Oh, absolutely.
And hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you go back and have a look at the point in that season where they were coming along, where that rear wing was sort of injected into the aero development and then it's disappeared, they've also dissipated away as well. So it shouldn't come as coincidence. As I said, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We can see that now.
Red Bull also have not developed a wing for a track
but
like
what they
this.
have bought is an incredible grinder, and if it's not quite working, they will just hack pieces off their car, which is the level that they're at the moment, which I love. I saw the vision on Thursday.
It was old school.
I know.
At the track, making the changes.
And you know what I was sort of fixated on? This is a little bit of my OCD coming in. Looking at the two cutouts on the rear wing and trying to work out if they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
I was always getting just a little bit of a tilt angle. I was never getting a front-on angle of the car.
I think they could set up with lasers. So at different points, your lasers were set.
Angle. And that's the stick. I think, did you do that by hand? Did you have a template?
Yeah.
How did you work that out?
Isn't it wonderful?
Oh, I as great as the passing and the racing was on the weekend, I was more fixated on the symmetrical
It was like old school racing.
It was so
Not
good.
enough of it.
I was like, wow, that's brilliant. Anyway, I wonder if cutter is a job in F1 teams.
I'll tell you what, these dogs
this is the episode this week.
Causing some dramas for us, aren't they?
It's hectic. It's hot. It's hot. It's gross. It's muggy. It's sticky.
Apologies.
Studio doors open.
Golden retrievers aren't meant for podcasting.
No.
And the problem is the possums are only going to tease them as the night goes on.
It's like a real Outback episode this week, isn't it?
It feels that way. Tell me, did we get any indication as to who has the best car at the moment?
Oh, jeez. Like we talked about, 6 of one, half dozen the other. It's week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Ferrari didn't do as well as what they had because we earmarked that a couple of weeks ago with their straight line speed.
Yep.
Where Mercedes came from, God knows. Again, I think the cool temperatures sort of alluded to the speed that they were going to have, but then again, you go back and you look at Spa, they were pretty good in Spa, weren't they?
Yep.
They weren't too shabby in Baku if you take away McLaren and their DRS wing as well. So if you can study close enough.
So I think a month ago, maybe slightly more, McLaren has the best all-round car. And then I think now they've just lost their way just a little bit. And I think it has to be Ferrari has the best all-round car. I mean, Mercedes obviously had a great car here. You're not necessarily going to see that again.
No.
Actually, the desert coolness actually might allow it for Abu Dhabi to kick in again. But
maybe, depending on what it's going to be like there
but,
as well.
Yeah, it's like I think you'll find that it's not quite at that same level.
No.
But the Red Bull, they've just done enough, and they're still well and truly in contention for every race, and so maybe they're still the best all-rounder.
Maybe, but then, I mean,
with Max Verstappen.
It's chassis number one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference there.
Yeah.
He makes a difference in that too. So, I don't know. I think it sets us up really nicely for next year because we've suddenly got 4 teams in it. Someone will pop their head up. They will. We'll start next year where we'll have an Aston Martin of, 2022, where we're just thinking, whoa, where did you come from? Look at Alpine and their straight line speed. Gasly qualifying in 3rd. They've kind of got their act together. Not in a way that they're going to be in contention for anything or points. We're still pleasantly surprised as how they're going about achieving what they're achieving at the moment. But suddenly they're injecting themselves as just sort of hanging around Haas at the moment.
Yep.
Which is a good place to be, isn't it?
Yep.
If you can be in there with those boys, you're kind of looking all right and comfortable. I think anywhere after that, you're still in a bit of trouble for next year as well.
Yep.
But look, it's going to be a race by race sort of thing, isn't it? I feel like we're going to go into next year where you're going to have track dependent chassis. Sorry, you're going to have driver specific tracks, and then you're going to have to start picking your way through and earmarking. All right, here we're going to be 3rd. Here we know we're going to be 9th, but this is our target win. This is our target win. This is our target win. I was listening to Alonso on the recent episode of the Formula One podcast, and he was talking about a couple of years ago, 2022, when Aston were in contention earlier in the season
yep.
with podiums and that. But he said they deliberately sat down as a team and said, Monaco, this is what we're winning. And this is our target for the year. It was really interesting to hear that. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that we will come accustomed to next year.
Yep.
And just people are going to target specific things. And maybe you can plan your assault.
That suit. Having that all-rounder, though, I mean, you look at Red Bull, yes, Max picked up all these points at the start of the season.
Oh, did the heavy lifting
and
there.
did a beautiful job. But I tell you what, he hasn't lost too many points where his car hasn't been fastest.
That's right.
He hasn't dropped massive bundles of points in this second half of the season, and that's just because they've been able to like chip away at it. You've got to have that all-rounder car, and whoever has the best all-rounder, I think, is going to be.
I think so too. It won't be a case that you need to turn up at season launch with the best car that's going to dominate everywhere. There's not going to be a focus on we need to nail everything. It can be a real strategic assault on the world title.
This is where our strengths are. We can use it as much as we possibly can, as many places we can. So, yeah, it's going to be wonderful.
Interesting you mentioned McLaren there, because talk today is that papaya rules are now no longer in existence.
Well, I'm not sure.
Even though they were only there for like one race.
I'm not sure they ever existed, did they? Let's talk George Russell.
Let's.
He had a stellar weekend.
Faultless.
Yep.
Faultless to a T.
Which isn't a George Russell statement as such of late.
I should have pulled the trigger on fantasy on Friday because I watched all the practice sessions and I thought, put them both in.
But he's the sort of driver that would do that and then
put in the wall and not do it.
Make it
and that's why I was
qualifying.
hesitant on that too. So should have, could have, would have. But they were fantastic. And I tell you what, if Lewis, like you said, if Lewis had a not fumbled qualifying, Lewis wins that race.
I'm not as convinced of that. I think Russell controls a race. I'm not sure he's pushing where he needs to push. It's one of those ones that you don't really know. Hamilton drove beautifully,
I think it was that block stint where it was fastest lap,
for Lewis.
Fastest lap. That sort of indicated to me that you probably
but he had to move quickly.
But he probably had a little bit more.
Whereas George didn't. No. George just had the gap. He just had to maintain that race. There was nothing in it for him to push the limits like Hamilton was. And so, I thought it was just a controlled race, but Hamilton's race, absolutely. He drove beautifully. Yeah. Just to think that he wasn't going to drive another race for Mercedes at one point. Misquoted. But I think there was certainly an element of, that's a possibility for me at the moment.
Yeah. Disillusion.
He was disillusioned, but I mean, it's a lovely result. And I tell you what, Lewis Hamilton wins Abu Dhabi this year because of that reason, I reckon. I feel like the Mercedes are going to be pretty good there because it's going to be cool there again. Lewis Hamilton's last race is just the sort of thing Hamilton would do. I reckon putting money on him there would be a pretty decent result. But he drove really nicely, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
For a man that's had a real up and down season and has complained non-stop about this car being the worst he's had, it was a lovely ride. Sainz and Leclerc, interesting little race for those two. Little bit of stick. We wondered when it was announced that he was on his way out, would we see a little bit of this?
I had this exact conversation with a work colleague today. That I expected this round 3, not with 3 rounds to go. And I think within the 4 walls of Ferrari that they have probably expected it, and like us have just been wondering where it was because the direction was don't pass. And then, as much as Charles is often down on himself, which I do feel he is, I feel like he's his own worst enemy.
Not worst enemy, he's his biggest critic.
He's his biggest critic in terms of the way that he sort of approaches his own mentality towards race weekends. But he should. I thought his comments really resonated with me in terms of the way that he goes about it. That he is a little bit too nice sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes because he does have a little bit of that knife edge.
Absolutely,
we saw that towards the end of the Seb and Charles era, where it was just, no, I'm not moving. You move. And I think he has such a good relationship with Carlos, and he knows he's there for the future as well, and it's probably a little bit of a comfort blanket there that he has the security. He knows his co-driver and friend doesn't have that, so there's probably no need to be a little bit forceful. But, I think Ferrari would have been expecting that, and I dare say they've managed that pretty okay internally too.
Does Charles Leclerc get along with Lewis Hamilton?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
When it's getting tight, at the moment, today's standards, they would nearly be the best car to be in next year.
Oh, absolutely. It will.
And so if they're both fighting for a title championship, is Charles Leclerc up for a battle with Lewis Hamilton?
I think...
And a Lewis Hamilton that's got the bit between his teeth, that isn't willing to give anything. Let's think Rosberg days. Let's think against Max Verstappen days. It's going to be an interesting little combination there,
I think
isn't
he
it?
needs to be a little bit nasty.
Yeah.
He really needs to. He nearly needs to cement in that relationship with Lewis that they're about to embark on, is to say in the first opening rounds and over the winter testing, this is my team. You've had your time where Mercedes has been your team. McLaren, to an extent, was his team early days, but then it was a shared team with Alonso in 07. Mercedes is Lewis's team, and for the first time, Lewis is coming to someone else's team, and he really needs to cement that and
Impossible
say, no,
with Lewis Hamilton.
You're in my house.
Impossible with Lewis Hamilton.
I know, but that's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
He needs to find a way to sort of
Nico
get that through to
Rosberg
him.
went into his championship year thinking, I'm going to be the biggest prick I can to Lewis because it's going to put him off his game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Nico Rosberg never got out of that habit and stayed a prick for the rest of his life, really. But it is something that he's going to have to be able to bring to this team because I feel like it could be on. Max Verstappen, once again, getting the job done, doing what he needed to do. He could have fought harder against those Ferraris. However,
I think so.
all he had to do was finish ahead of Norris.
That
it was a calculated win. The Max of old would have been pushing for the win, whereas he knew, I get this championship. I get my fourth championship. Fourth championship.
In a row. On the bounce.
Covered here, right now, by just bringing this car home. Yeah. And it was just a mature, brilliant drive. He picked up heaps of points in the first half of the season, like we talked about. I like his second half of the season, where he hasn't won everything, but I tell you what, he's picked up so many points just by being in the right place at the right time, just being a really sensible driver. The second half, where he hasn't won all the races, is my favourite half of his season.
You know what? I love the continual love that he has for other people's success. And we seem to have seen it a lot more this year, that he's like, I've won in one of the most heated ways in 21.
Yep.
I've won in the easiest of ways in the last
22,
23. And now I've won in a way where I haven't had what I've needed, but I've had to grind it out. So, so he's really attacked each title in very different ways. And because he's done that, you can now see that there's a little bit of fulfillment with that, but he's ticking all those boxes now to turn to other people, and the joy to see,
he's a lot more of a rounded driver.
Going like, I'm so happy that you're on pole.
Yep.
And I love that. And, we talk about it all the time. I don't know how you can dislike him. I really find that really difficult to fathom that there are people who dislike him as a driver.
I'm with you.
Because he says all the things we're all thinking. He does all the things we want him to do. He's ruthless when we ask drivers to be ruthless. But then he is so joyous afterwards when it doesn't go his way that he doesn't sook. He can get heated, which is fine. Athletes get heated. We all get heated in the moment. And you want that. You want that sort of human side of it too. But yeah, there's a lot of that joy, isn't it? And I love that. I love seeing him do that.
I agree. I don't know a driver on the grid that wouldn't be elements of that selfishness.
That's right.
Or that ruthlessness, and there's part of me that just respects the crap out of it.
But you see others that do that, like Lewis sort of does that a little
absolutely.
bit. I don't think he does it to the extent of
Not
Max.
anymore.
Not anymore, no.
But that's only because he hasn't been in it.
That's right. Fernando does. Fernando's always over-celebrate. Like, he was one of the first to over-celebrate with him too. But it's just little things like that, and I think because he's been there, done that, it's now something that he's bringing to his own persona within the sport too. Whereas I can understand how other people aren't doing that because they're fighting for their time, and then I feel like once they've had their time, that they'll do that. As well when it comes on to.
Perez is his teammate.
Oh.
He came 10th.
I didn't know. I didn't know Red Bull had two cars.
Yeah.
So the word on the street is that they'll make a decision after Abu Dhabi as to what to do. Are they going to do anything?
They can't continue like this. This is costing them money.
Probably not.
This is costing them huge money. There's no way. The problem, their issue is they don't have an answer. If they had an answer, they would have made it. And that's what the whole Ricciardo thing was about. Yeah. They're not convinced that Ricciardo's going to be the right answer for them, and so they're now looking at Colapinto. They're now looking at Lawson a bit more. They're looking at whether Yuki can be the man to step up. But
I think Yuki can be the man.
Whatever they've got isn't what they want, and that is abundantly clear at the moment.
Yeah.
You watch how quickly Hadjar's development gets pushed along. Because they're actually in a little bit of a tricky position.
A la Gasly, a la Albon.
Yeah, but like they're just in this tricky position where if Max was to make a move, They have nothing at the moment. And that's why you're hearing all these stories of them trying to go get Norris, trying to go get Piastri, trying to go get another driver. The one that they let slip through their hands seems like the most obvious option.
Absolutely.
Carlos Sainz.
Yep.
How do they not go and get Carlos Sainz unless he turned them down?
Yep.
Which maybe is the case.
I don't know. You never know, do you?
Maybe is the case, but
you never know.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz was the right option. I mean, he's been beating his teammate every second week.
Yep.
He's a fantastic driver, and he just got ousted by the fact that there's a 7-time world champion that was keen to go and take his spot.
The biggest personality within the sport that has got a lot more to offer your organisation than race wins.
Let's talk McLaren. Disappointing. Drop the ball, but just generally the way it is at the moment, isn't it? If there's something a bit crazy about what's going on with the cars, like cold weather, the McLaren was a little bit lacking this time round.
Yeah.
Gone from being one of the more consistent cars to not so much. So, yeah.
Do you think there'll be a few people a little bit embarrassed come season's end that maybe we just got a bit ahead of ourselves? I think so.
What, at McLaren or pundits?
I think just pundits in general,
people making predictions.
Just getting a little bit.
I think we've done well to keep on top of it.
I think we've been all right.
The whole way through, I was like,
I think we've been all right.
It's on, but it's not.
No, that's true. I just, they're potentially going to walk away with nothing. They're definitely going to not walk away with the driver's title. It's going to be, for all intensive purposes, it's going to appear to be a season of nothing.
What's your prediction for the championship, Constructors' Championship?
Ferrari.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm staying with McLaren.
But
Ferrari are looking dangerous.
It's got all the hallmarks of we're not ready. We're not ready to be champions. Not ready to. Sort of still only finding their feet being winners, I feel, this year. Haven't cemented being winners.
So they're on 608 points.
Yep.
And we've got Ferrari on 584, so it's 24 points.
Easy done.
24 points over 2 races with 2 drivers.
It's a 1-2 and you're in front.
It's a close one.
Yep.
It's a close one at the moment.
If we're off to Qatar next, and if this round is any indication of their top speed, you can almost put a line to them.
I think Qatar's a daytime race, is it not?
It's a nighttime race.
Is Qatar a nighttime race?
It's nighttime.
Oh, okay.
It's cold in the desert.
Yeah. Interesting. It's interesting times. So, yeah, a bit disappointing. Piastri, not quite there. They messed up their qualifying. It was looking all right for them.
I feel
they were all over qualifying, and then all of a sudden it dropped off, and then it just never. I was sort of expecting them to come alive in the race at some point, but they never really did.
I kind of feel like Oscar hasn't dropped it here. I feel like Oscar is doing what I think he does. He is stopped, recognised the title's not his. He's looking at Lando and what he's doing. He's looking at how the year's gone out. There's an opportunity for a win maybe if they can get it together. But I feel like, being the type of driver and personality that he is that we've seen in the last nearly 12 months, that he's probably just turned one eye to the side to 2025 and gone, you know what? Go and fight it out over here. I'm going to go and prep myself for next year and start hitting the ground running.
It was a managed race. He wasn't as slow as what expected. There was no threat from behind.
No.
They weren't going to chase them down. And so it was a managed race. He had to get through the end on those tyres.
Yeah.
And I was monitoring radio. When it's a live race, you monitor radio so much more because it's so much easier to line it all up. But, it was just, it was. But, he will be so much better for the year. But, it wasn't spectacular. And I think they'll be really disappointed with qualifying.
Yeah.
I think, and early in the race too. Not flash at all. Hulkenberg once again.
Oh, hey, the forgotten man of the weekend.
Forgotten?
Did you find yourself throughout the race looking at the timing and going, wait, how are you 6th? Where did that come from?
Well, I've started to come to expect it a little bit more.
Well, but I hadn't heard much from him. We hadn't seen much from him. We didn't know he was just he was just there. And then suddenly I was like,
Yuki Tsunoda came alive.
What are you doing there? Yuki did come alive, didn't he? You know what? And he's the man. He's the man to, if they make a call, they're not going to make a call. No one's going to do anything at Red Bull. But he's the man if they decide to.
You reckon?
Yep.
I think it's... If they're not going him, what's the point?
Yep.
Give him a crack, I guess, but he ain't the man. He ain't going to be getting the job done, but yeah, you may as well. It'll be exciting. The thing with Yuki is...
Yep.
You think he's there, and then he does something really stupid. Still. And so he can't, you just don't have that consistent confidence in him. He'll do this result, he might get another one, and then all of a sudden he'll do something really silly.
Yep.
And that's just the way Yuki operates.
Okay. Fair.
Anyone else you want to mention?
I do want to mention Gasly and his qualifying result, which was brilliant.
Yep.
Just in a formal sort of way in the podcast.
Yep.
And where did Joe finish? 13th or something like that?
Where was Joe?
Yeah,
13th
or something like that. Yep. So just like a tip of the cap.
Bottas was in there and then something
job.
happened to him. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, he was driving a Sauber.
No. Did he get a penalty or something, Bottas?
No, honestly.
Oscar got a penalty, actually.
Oscar got a penalty, yeah.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. I can't recall this currently because I don't have it up on my phone.
That's okay because you've
I'll remember.
I'll write them.
I'll write them.
Yeah, are you going to write them? Look at you go.
Yeah,
proud of you.
Who are you going to go with?
George 3.
Correct answer.
Faultless.
Yep.
All weekend, every session.
So George 6 from us because I'm going to give him 3 as well.
Yep, good. 2 to Lewis because that was fantastic the way he drove there.
Can't argue with that. So he's getting 4. This is not cool. It's not great for podcasting.
And I am going to give 1 to Gasly for his qualifying effort.
You can't. It's not a race.
That's well done. He had a massive hole in that side pod by the end of it. So
yeah, but doesn't mean
it doesn't matter. Still give.
All right.
You got to nod. You got to
1 point to him.
Nod to that because that's the Alpine is not the third fastest qualifier.
I see. I'm going to give 1 point to Max.
Okay.
It wasn't his greatest race.
Yep.
But he made it happen. He won his championship. He did what was required.
Yep.
It was a championship drive. How can you go wrong?
Good.
Dud of the day?
Dud of the day. Oh, dud of the day.
There's a couple.
There's a couple of real left field dud of the days for you. Let me find it. My first dud of the day goes to Stakes Livery. Which was literally the most putrid thing I've ever laid my eyes on.
Yeah, you were up and about
the
this
history of my existence, which was the worst flames I've ever seen, the most disgusting looking.
There is an excuse for it.
There's nothing good about it.
Some people liked it though.
It looks like
one of our listeners liked it.
It looks like when you go to like the weekend drags, and you see like a 60-year-old man in a black button shirt with yellow flames that he got from Lowe's for $9.50. It's the best way to describe it. It's like someone walked past a Lowe's shop.
Which is
just a
I can't think of what the equivalent is.
I can't remember what it's called. Like just a larger person.
A cheap shop.
Cheap shop with crappy clothes. So that is my honourable mention. But my actual dud of the day goes to motorsport.com's Instagram post, which 2 days after 2 days ago. So the moment Max won the title, so over the last month, what they've been doing is they've been posting every time a driver in the title race is eliminated. We knew that Max only had to beat Lando
by 3 points.
Just had to finish ahead of him.
And Lando
once
had to
that
beat him
happened, they decided to let us know who was eliminated after Max was crowned world champion. Can you guess who was eliminated?
Everybody else?
Like literally the entire field. But they decided to do an Instagram post just alerting us to the fact that Lando Norris was eliminated from championship contender, that Charles was, that Oscar was, that Carlos was, that Lewis was, that George was, and that Perez was eliminated as well from championship.
So all these people were still in it?
So all those people were still in it, but the moment that the title was won, they just felt the need to post and let us know
who wasn't
that no one else is now in contention to win that because... And I just thought, is that the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life? Like, that is stupid. That is the stupidest thing in the world.
Little left field.
Like you can have some engagement. That's fine, and you can do some things to work on that. But you don't need to tell me that. That's like starting the season next year in Australia on Thursday for practice and doing a post to let me know who's in title contention. Do you know who's in title contention?
Everyone.
Everyone who's on the grid and drives a Formula One card. But you're gonna do an Instagram post just to let me know that every single person in the field can win it. As the season gets to the end, things like that annoy me. It's just annoy me.
You get grumpier.
I don't grumpy. It's just
That's good.
It just annoys me.
My dad. So special mention because it is a bit of a common one for us. Broadcaster.
Oh, you just
Holy hell! Could they have missed any more overtakes? Not only did they miss them, we didn't even get replays of them this weekend.
I saw your message.
Did you not agree? It was we were missing, we were missing the footage of it.
Yeah.
But Crofty and Brundle were missing it happening.
Yep.
And just going on like, those cars were already in those positions. It was doing my head in.
Yeah.
They were missing it. It was like sometimes. Remember when we used to go to Monaco and they ran their own broadcast, and it wasn't the F1 broadcast,
was putrid.
And it was always different, but they would miss things. However, Monaco was pretty easy, so you didn't miss that much because not much happened.
No.
Whereas there was so much going on in this race, and they were not mentioning it, not showing it, no replays. It was mind-boggling, and they were watching one battle over and over and over and missing everything else going on around it. It was baffling. I'll tell you what, Crofty and Brundle had a stinker themselves because they weren't bringing it to our attention. And I like Brundle. I don't need Crofty, but I like Crofty as a guy, a personality. But they're done.
Did you watch the grid walk?
Yes, watched the grid walk.
It was the worst thing in the world.
It wasn't great.
It was poor.
It was
poor.
Scripted, probably more. There was too many people trying to get people on. Like, it was just a bonanza of, hey, you should talk to my guy. He's just here. He's going to come over. He's from this. And Martin was like, it doesn't really interest me. But then he went and got pretty much no one, didn't he?
And was walking around awkwardly going like, who am I going to
There's actually, for a Vegas race, it was actually like, the sprinter was good.
Yep.
But there wasn't a lot.
No, not but it was 20 minutes of him sort of fumbling through. What am I doing here?
Yeah,
I don't know. It was put. The news out of Sky is that they're both on the way out. And we'll be following Damon Hill.
Well, it's not. I think they're going out in a little bit of
these
protest.
These comments around the bias. The bias broadcast is maybe getting to them.
I think they're going out in protest for Damon Hill because I think Damon Hill's been pushed a little bit because of his bias.
Yep.
Which, there is that. So
we've talked about it. I got no sympathy there too.
Yeah, Harry Benjamin, come on along. Yep. Jensen Button, come on in.
Oh, yeah.
No, so I haven't got to my actual one.
Sorry, I thought you had.
No, that was an honourable mention because I mentioned them all the time.
I just caught in this loop of the constant, I hate the broadcast.
So, what we're going to run with is, my dad of the day is Ocon.
Oh.
Because Ocon managed to come through the pits, forgot where his box was, kept on going, and had to do another lap and come on back around and actually pit the second time. You don't get that sort of amateur hour for very often in Formula One. We get it in trike racing.
I was just about to think.
It happens all the time.
I could think of someone who pitted their car and forgot to do something.
Oh, yeah.
And then that car came back in.
That's
again.
true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. But this guy forgot to actually come in. Absolutely horrific.
Hey, I've got a couple of cheeky hero of the hours for you. Valtteri Bottas and his interview on The Notebook with Ted about what's next, this whole what's next thing, and just his interview about what these merchandise is about, which is about supporting families with people who experience sudden job loss. And then just the way he portrayed that on the camera was brilliant. We talked about a couple of years ago, and you were big on this, bringing the kids into Formula One. What can we do to bring kids into Formula One?
Mm-hmm.
But my cheeky hero of the hour is Lego. Because there are speed creator sets, I love Lego, speed sets of all the cars for this year. And we are getting a full Lego, like Duplo, proper Lego. We're getting a brand new Technic in the Ferrari SF24. It's awesome. Like, it's cool.
Okay.
Like, it's Lego. I just think it's just awesome. Hero of the hour. Just
Lots
simple.
of people agree with you on that.
Yep. Lego.
Very, very popular Lego. I'm not sure it's quite doing enough to get the kids into Formula One.
It will. I'll tell you what, you'll buy your little man a Lego set and you'll sit down with him and you'll be like, I'm going to need...
It's not going to make the change that we need.
No, but
I want to bring the races to the kids.
It's a kickstart. I'm going to show you. I'll show you this. Cause
I've seen them.
Yeah. No, I know. But I'm talking about like bringing the kids to it. Yep. This is what it brings to it. This is the little man. This is our little man watching. I think I sent this to you. He's up and about. He's into George at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
He's into George at the moment.
Marlo's a Max man.
Is he? Oh, I'm trying to get him Max man. This is even we're like talking about George.
There's Pierre. That's Pierre. Oh, who's got the blue car? George. Yeah, we're into George.
I
he
love
loves
it.
George.
Very
He's into
good.
George. He loves it too. I'm trying to get him into Max. He likes Charles though. I'm alright with that.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got the red car. He likes Charles. He's like, there, Charles.
I've been very determined that my kids follow the same football team as me because
Yes.
I just can't deal with having to
can't
take
deal
them
with-
to a
I
game
can't
that's
deal-
not with my team.
No.
Like, we don't get to enough games as it is. So I've been really like trying to push that, and we've managed to have that win. Whereas with Formula One, I don't care who they support.
No, I don't care.
I'm
As long
quite
as
cool
you
with.
sit down and love it with me.
Yeah, exactly. We all go to the same race,
Yep.
and so you can go for whoever you like, and
Yep.
that's quite easy. So
Yep.
yeah,
He's loving it.
He's a George man.
He watched.
I'm sorry, Max man.
Yeah, he watched Colapinto crash and was beside himself. He's like, oh dear, it's not good. But he loves
Wrecked it. Mum's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
F1.5.
F1.5. F1.5. It's over, isn't it? It's as good as over.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Mind
as
you,
good as over.
Yuki had a decent result.
Yuki did have a decent result. I haven't done F1.5 this week because we've been away, so I'm going to hold it for next week. But
Oh, okay.
your sneaky
okay.
suggestion is it's over. So
Okay, someone else was unprepared for
I'm going
this
to hide
episode
that.
too.
Yep, they were. I forgot about that one because of being away too.
Nah, well,
so no, F1.5.
We always hold off F1.5 for
We
the
do.
last couple of rounds.
We do.
Then
So
we
we'll,
get a big announcement at the end.
We'll leave it. We'll leave it because I haven't done it. But also, I think you can fairly predict that it's over too. That Hulk's done that. So anyway, we'll have F1.5 in 2 weeks' time.
Considering we announced Hulk as the winner a couple of
you
rounds
could
ago.
get a little bit excited, didn't you, with that? So
And I
we'll have
miscalculated our
F1.
rounds.
We'll have F1.5 in 2 weeks' time. and we
Congratulations
will
to Nico
unveil
Hulkenberg
those,
because I
but yes,
think he's probably the winner
I'm
now.
pretty confident that Hulkenberg has taken that away too. So anyway, we can do that in a couple of weeks' time. Fantasy, however.
Oh, fantasy.
Thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art, who's a brilliant sponsor of our fantasy competition. Prizes for the top 3. It's getting close.
Is it?
It's getting close.
I haven't.
It's getting
Must
close.
admit, I haven't had a squeeze this
You
week.
haven't had a squeeze. I was, as I said, a little bit dark on myself because I did endeavour to bring in the Mercedes boys, but I held fire on that. Anyway, thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art. Check out his Instagram, Facebook, Redbubble. Subscribe to his newsletter. Get yourself sorted with some amazing street graffiti art looking F1 merchandise. We've got 2 here. You've got 2 here in the studio. They look fantastic. One of them is Fernando Alonso, so that's all that matters. And get yourself something. Treat yourself for the end of season. I'd love to see a Colapinto. I'd love to see a Colapinto artwork from him. Chris, if you're listening, we haven't seen a Colapinto one. I would be cashing in
Fair enough.
on that train.
Probably fair enough.
Is
that
what
you
I'd
haven't
be
seen
doing
one.
there too. Anyway, all right. Let's go to the round so far. Las Vegas top 10 looked a little bit like this. AJ Ferguson topped the round. Nitro Ninjas 270. Devin Schmidt second place 261.
Schmitty.
Abe Stander, are you close with Devin?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Abe Stander 258 in third. Fourth and fifth, or equal fourth, Fariz on 255 with James Ward. In sixth place is David Rojas. Seventh place is Arv Riedling on 251. Eighth is Laws Van der Veer on 247. Ninth is Nicola Taylor on 246. And it's pains to tell me that you are in 10th for the round on
really?
243 points.
Oh, what a result.
You've done pretty well there. I finished in 23rd. I had 218. So not great. I did activate the autopilot as well for myself because I just wasn't quite sure. So I'm glad I did that.
Jeez, did I do that?
No, I'm not sure. All right. Looks a little bit like this. This is our leaderboard with only 2 to go. Only 2 to go. So up for grabs is Chris's amazing prize. It's closer than we think. I think there's 3 in it.
What's
I'm
that
not
one?
Sure.
What one did I use there?
What'd you look there? That should cost. I don't know. I'll have to have a look.
Yeah,
I don't know what they are by just looking at the actual image.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Leading all comers is Laws Van der Veer on 5,082 in the box seat at the moment to take out top prize. Roman Merrick in second place, 5,048. So about 32 odd points in arrears. Dean Holt still in it in third place on 4,985. Chloe Anderson is another 20 odd adrift in fourth.
How far off is Dean Holt?
Dean Holt is about 40, 50, 60.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, maybe about
It is on.
just on 100, which
Has
I know
anyone
that
got?
sounds...
Has anyone got chips left?
Well, that's it. You don't know if they got chips left. We're out of sprints, aren't we? So
No, there's one coming up.
Is there still a sprint
Next
to
round.
go? Okay. If you got a sprint chip, then maybe you're in the box seat here. So we'll see what happens there. But it's definitely within touching distance. Chloe Anderson is in 4th place, a little bit further back on 4,978. Maybe for Chloe, I'm not quite sure. Faree's in 5th on 4,953. David Rojas is in 6th, 4,901. Jolien Dyer in 7th, 4,841. Andy Tales, who's had a good sort of back half to the season, 4,766. Simon Leng in 9th on 4,685. And my good self still hanging on in 10th place, 4,660. Adam Hughes and Nicola Taylor still chasing me down. I'll be very happy with a top 10 finish. Now, while we're going through this, I know that we always talk top 10 all the time, and I love fantasy. I know you don't love fantasy. Well, you do love fantasy, but you're just not very good at it. But at the very bottom, I just want to touch on the bottom runners because it's all about winning, and I just feel like sometimes we just need to let the bottom runners sort of, do their thing. So in last place at the moment in 57th, with a total of 666 points in total for the season, is Kingsley Morse McNabb.
Oh, well done, Kingsley.
Matt Addison.
That was extraordinarily bad.
Matt Addison, 56th place on 2,290.
Shout out to Kingsley. He's currently touring around,
is he?
Like Victorian outbacky desert areas,
with
his daughter.
Oh, there you
Probably
go.
actually more shout out to Sarah if you are listening to this, Sarah, because it's a long drive with your dad.
All right.
So hang in there.
Jay is not doing well.
Is he down the bottom?
Jay is not doing well. He's in 55th place.
Oh, crikey.
2,870
Oh, that's
points.
not great.
Alison Johnson in 54th. Paul Dodd in 53rd. Brian Lawrence in 52. And our resident in-house fan, Shane Freer, in 51st place. 50. So I can't even see. I'm so excited to mention. Lost my thought.
Pathetic.
It's 51st
Really?
place in 3,077. I was looking at that on Monday and I thought,
I can't have that in my team.
We have a little bit of tongue-in-cheek with Shane, and I just thought he's a good because I feel like I often get a drive-by most episodes.
Yeah, well, he sets me up.
I know he does.
He always pretends it's me.
I know.
I know. Really not.
I'm
a caring guy, you know that.
I was like, here's a quick opportunity. So 3,077. Thank you. Well done, me. So 51st in my excitement to announce that I couldn't even speak for 5 seconds. Anyway, that's fantasy for this week.
It's
As
on.
I said,
Two more rounds, sprint race weekend.
Sprint race. Get on to
Coming
Chris's
up,
work.
I've placed my triple DRS on.
Oh.
Yep, I've nailed it. So, it's going to be exciting.
That's awesome. I'm out of chips. I think I've got my final fix left. So that's about it.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm not going to get all my chips in, I've just realised, which is a shame.
Because we only got 2 rounds to go. Anyway, I think I'll pull the trigger on the Mercs this week. I'll see what FP1 looks like there. So
a bit of news.
Little bit of news.
Actually, quite big news.
Quite a big bit of news.
GM
and Cadillac
have been allowed into... Announced that they're coming into Formula One.
Yep.
Not complete details released just yet. A conditional entry. But, so 2026, sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Thoughts on GM, Cadillac, Andretti coming into Formula One?
I'm absolutely okay with that. We knew that the criteria was for Andretti that they needed to bring an OEM.
Yep.
Which is an original engine manufacturer, for those people that don't know. And they needed to bring that in, and that's exactly what they've done.
Not that they're going to be a manufacturer to
Not
start
they're going to
with.
be a manufacturer, but they needed to provide an OEM to the sport, which is what we were needed. So for those people that on socials are jumping up and down going, oh my God, why did you do that and not Andretti?
No, it is Andretti.
That's what I'm saying. This is Andretti in disguise.
Right.
Is what it is. So Michael Andretti has been announced as CEO of the operation.
Yep.
For all intensive purposes, it is Andretti under the Cadillac badge with GM Motors.
Are you happy with them coming in?
Brilliant.
Great for the sport.
Great for the sport. And we can't constantly look at, I feel like some of the... I thought Zach Brown spoke really well about it on the broadcast, that he's like, it's not all about the on-track, that you're going to bring something to the sport. Because for the longevity, they are going to bring a lot to the sport. And with so many little novelty changes that have worked and are sometimes just stupid.
Have worked and haven't worked,
yep. We just need to be a little bit more open-minded to this, that you can't be scared of things that, we brought dumb things like double points, and we brought dumb things like fastest lap.
I thought Horner's comments were just still so cheap and just short-sighted.
That's because they're winning. That's
yeah,
because they're winning.
but it's like, as long as we're not paying for it. And I liked Martin's response. Well, there's money galore in Formula One at the moment. And you guys are making big money. I know you think you're spending money, but you're actually capped at 175 million. So you're actually spending less money and making more money. And so your pie is actually bigger than it's ever been before. You didn't sign up for this to be the only way forward. And so, it was just when you think you're coming along to Christian Horner sometimes, he makes pathetic comments that just make him... And I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But be a little bit better than that. Just be a bit better than that in terms of the way you deliver it. For me, I'm just fascinated with how it's all come about. So Andretti came in. They said, look, we've ticked all the boxes. We've got FIA on board.
Yep.
And that pissed everyone off because of this big rift between Formula One and the FIA.
Yeah.
They chose the wrong team to go and charm.
Yep.
And so what they've had to do is go and backtrack a whole bunch. They've had to go and become incredibly modest. You aren't the big show here. We're the big show here. You come in under our rules and go and shut up. Go and just do what you're supposed to do, and we will come back and talk to you then.
Absolutely.
And it was a really interesting show of, radio, we're going to go and do that. They did shut up. They stopped all that nonsense.
Yep.
And it was, this is in America. This is in the IndyCar. This is Formula One. You play by our rules.
Yeah.
And so, the complete different strategy has come around. And so, I'm really looking forward to it all. I think it's great that we've got an American constructor in there. I want to see some American drivers be developed. And I'll tell you one thing that I really want to see. I want to see an American female in that team in a significant way.
Okay, that's good. I don't mind that.
I think this is the chance. Now, if it's first reserve driver to start with because you don't feel like you got the right drivers there yet, so be it. I want the best, but I tell you what, get developing quick, smart, because this is your opportunity. How good would it be to have a first American champion for however long, and it's a female? Or they've got this beautiful new team that is all the bells and whistles in America, and we've got a poster female for young female drivers to be inspired by, and it's going to wake up the rest of the grid. So go and be proactive about that, because it just has to happen. We've got all these championships, and we're trying to develop these drivers, and then we give them no opportunity beyond that. It's just tokenistic at the moment. Go and get real about it and take some ownership and go and pick your best 5 drivers, work out who's going to work best for you, and go and develop them. I think it's a great opportunity, and then hopefully some of the other teams might wake up to it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Now, I have got one other little bit of news. It's only just sort of come out in the last sort of, I don't know, half an hour or so. Let me find it. So I won't delve too much into it, but I feel like on a little bit of time we'll get our heads around this for next week's episode. So Formula One, the last hour, have announced that there is an introduction of a formal diversity and inclusion charter, which has been agreed by all 10 teams, F1 and the FIA. So this is just, I'm just going to read the purpose, the vision, and the mission, because there's a lot to this, just to get people thinking about it, and then we'll talk about this next week as well, because I really don't know anything out of it in the last 60 minutes. So the charter purpose is, as a sport, Formula One's committed to creating, supporting, and delivering on actions, measures, and outcomes to build a more diverse and inclusive sport. As a collective, including F1 management and FIA and the 10 teams, we recognise our combined efforts can meaningfully and tangibly improve D&I outcomes, so diversity and inclusion outcomes, across the sport, and will continue to collaborate to maximise progress. So the vision is to enable anyone to access, contribute to, and enjoy global motorsport, and the mission is to identify and remove barriers to attract and retain a rich diversity of people in our workplaces, improving our ways of working and engaging with stakeholders to drive innovation. So that's it. So there's some commitments, which is attract, retain, create, engage ways of working, and it's signed off by all 10 teams. But that's only dropped in the last hour, so it's there if you want to have a read of it.
The Hamilton Commission, that report was delivered in 2021. We're at the end of 2024.
Yeah.
About fucking time, honestly. Yeah. Like, why does it take so long to get their heads around these things. It baffles me. But yeah, it should be there. It should be there. It should be already in place. But anyway, well done for getting there eventually. I look forward to seeing and hoping that they can push along with that. And it is going to, hopefully, that is going to be part of what I was just talking about in terms of encouraging teams to develop and push forward with female drivers.
Oh, absolutely. So anyway.
Yep, and drivers of all races and whatnot. So hopefully the push for Africa might help with that as well. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Very good.
That's it.
Next race, we're going to Qatar. Tell me, we were watching Formula 1 at 5 p.m. this week on a Sunday.
Oh, it was glorious, wasn't it?
Did it work for you?
No. No.
All we do is want Formula 1 at a decent time. Whenever I get Formula 1 at a decent time,
what I want...
It is so annoying because I've got too many people around me.
I know. So what I need, this is what I need, and it's not a lot to ask for. I need Formula 1 on at a good time.
9 o'clock is the perfect time.
Yeah, but
PM.
my family in bed or in another home for the entire duration of it. I was nearly going to ring you. I was nearly going to ring you Sunday and be like, "Do you want me to come over and watch it?"
I thought the same thing, and then I was like, "I'm got bloody kids everywhere."
I know. I was the same. I'm like, I can't because then the little man will be like, "Dad, where you've gone? You've been gone for 3 days."
Yeah. So I got good news for you. Okay. Hopefully, you won't have people up at 3 a.m. for the next race.
Well, I have a 3-year-old, so it's not an absolute lock.
I'll only be watching on a 2-hour delay, which would be nice.
Good.
But it's not the nice time that we just got to enjoy. But yeah, it'll be what it'll be. But you spend your whole time hoping to watch Formula 1 at a decent time, and then all of a sudden there's too many people around. So I'll tell you what needs to happen next time. I think we need to get serious about developing the cave, the headquarters. With a decent TV, decent sofa. Yeah. That way we can lock everybody out, and then we can just kick back and enjoy. But until then, what's your prediction for Qatar?
I'm gonna bookend this. If it's cold, it's Mercedes, and if not, it's gonna be Ferrari.
Okay,
it's kind of dull in the end, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm confident.
It's not going to be McLaren.
It's a 5 p.m. race, so it's not freezing cold. It gets cold as we go. I'm confident we are going to see a McLaren comeback of sorts because Qatar... I'm looking at Abu Dhabi. Wrong times. Let me go back on all my words. What time is it? It's a 7 p.m. race. It's going to be cool. Yes. I can't quite back McLaren in. I'll go Ferrari, and I'll say Leclerc for this one.
Yeah.
But sprint starts at 8. No, their time. Our time, sprint. Oh, yeah, it's all middle of the night stuff. 3 a.m. race. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh.
Keep an ear out for Fan Frenzy. We're doing Fan Frenzy this week?
This year?
This week?
Yeah, we've been doing it for a while this year.
Yes.
We have a this week one. We'll surprise people because I know we're up and about doing a big triple header one, but then we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
It'll be there.
Very good. Rightio, keep an eye out for that and enjoy. We'll be back next week because we're at the first part of our final triple header for the year. Goodbye now.